Hello, welcome back to our loop channel for our lesson 4 for beginners in Python programming language. And as we mentioned in lesson 3, we will move on to loop structures by using while. We have used the while function in the previous lesson for data validation. Now we will use it to build loop structures, and inside a comment I have put an example here. So there it says, write a program that will read numbers until user types number 0. Calculate and show the sum of those numbers on the screen. Okay, so what's different now is that we have to do something, but we have to do something many times. And the reason we were going to use while function here is that we do not know a priori from the beginning the total amount of loops that are going to happen in the program. So generally, when we want to use while to construct a loop, we type while, and the case we want to check whether it's true or false. So if we have to do, for example, an exercise that says until something happens, for example, here says until user types number 0. That means that the loop ends, that the loop terminates when number 0 is given as an input from the user. So inside the while case, we need to type exactly the opposite, what is needed to happen in order the loop not to be terminated, but to carry on processing. So in that case, we need to type while, for example, number, let's call our variable, is not equal, that's the symbol for not equal, to 0, then we need to read the numbers and calculate the sum of them. But there is a small problem here. The while function is checking out a variable that is nowhere declared in the program until now. So that's what is going to happen with while. We need to input a value, or assign generally a value to the variable that while is checking whether it's true or false. So we need, before while, to type number equals, okay, so let's say number is an integer, so number equals int input, please type the first integer. So now, yes, number exists, it has already a value. So now we want to read repeatedly numbers and calculate the sum of them. So every time we want to calculate a sum inside a loop structure, previously we need to initialize the variable that calculates the sum to 0. For example, let's say that this variable is called s. So we initialize s with 0. So this is the variable that will calculate the sum of all the numbers. So inside while now, we type s equals s plus number, which means that every number that is read inside the loop will be added to the sum of those who have been calculated in the previous loops. So after the whole while loop is ended, is terminated, we will definitely have the completed sum of all the numbers the user has typed. So that equation, s equals to s plus number, can also be written by s plus equals number. It's exactly the same thing. Whenever we use the name of a variable which is on the left side of the equation, if we type it again on the right side, if we want to type less code, many people like that when they develop a program, they can just change the equation symbol. So instead of plus, they type plus equal, which means that already s exists again on the left side, on the right side, sorry, of the equation. So after that, the while function needs to move on to the next number. But the problem is that the data that has been inputted by the user, and assigned to the number variable, that occurred before the while function started. So we need to copy paste that inside while structure again, and because we have already read the first integer, we can type next there instead. So please type the next integer, blah blah blah. So getting out of the while block, we can type now print the sum of the numbers you have typed is equal to comma s. So now if I run this program, so run, yes, main, please type the first integer. Okay, I type, for example, number 19. Then please type the next integer, 11. Minus 5, I can also type negative numbers, not to be 0, and everything can be typed. Every integer can be typed. So if I type now 0, then the while loop terminates and the print emerges on the screen. So the sum of the numbers you have typed is equal to 115. If I wanted as well to calculate how many numbers have been typed, I could use a counter there. So again, like as the sum, the counter needs to be initialized with 0. So under the s calculation, the s equation, I can type counter equals counter plus 1. Alternatively and respectively, like as the previous line, we can type counter plus equals 1. So now I can have another print at the end of my code, the total numbers you have typed or are, for example, comma counter, or alternatively we can type counter for the beginning, counter numbers have been typed. So now if I run this program again, it calculates not only the sum of all the numbers, but the population as well, how many numbers the user has typed. And one thing that is important to notice is that by the time you type 0 and the loop terminates, the zero value is not considered, is not included in the counter, inside the counter variable, the counter calculation. So this is the reason that there says 3 numbers have been typed, because a zero value is only considered as a signal that while loop terminates. So stay tuned, because on lesson 5 we will move on to different methods we can use loop structures, and we will see 4 loop structure as well. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.